Good morning and welcome to the Fife Business Week, which is the Fife Business Enterprise Journey.
Hashtag Fife means business. We kick off this week with real stories, real successes.
We have a variety of businesses on the podcast, and to kick it off, we have Dot Smith and Fraser McKee.
So don't forget to get involved, like, share and subscribe.
Hashtag Fife means business.
Yeah. So good morning. Got Fraser and Dot. They're going to explain what this week is all about. And we're going to start with Dot.
Thanks very much. I'm Dot Smith. I'm Fife Council's Economic Development Team, Enterprise and Business Development Manager. This week is Fife Business Week, so we're kicking off with yourselves at Business Babble with a number of our businesses, just to get a bit of an understanding as to the support that we collectively as Economic Development and Business Gateway Fife have assisted businesses to help them develop and grow, because hashtag Fife means business.
Yeah, good plug.
Brilliant.
Plug.
I think it's important because a lot of people that are potentially starting their business journey or wanting to start the business journey, they don't necessarily have the tools on how to start to begin. They just know their trade or whatever it may be they're going into. So how do people out there reach out to you guys?
How does the journey start?
So the journey starts, I suppose, with any business, whether it's public, private, third sector. It's about promoting services and offerings. So we do a lot of that through social media, through websites, collaboratively, and just try and kind of signpost into, we've got a Fife Means Business mailbox, Fife Means Business at fife.gov.uk if you do need it, should you require any support. So as economic development, it's about making Fife the best place to do business. So we want to support businesses, whether it's a startup business, you're just considering an idea, and we work in partnership with Business Gateway Fife to provide those front-end business support services. So how do I start a business? How do I do the financials? Fraser's probably better at talking about that side of things. But from an economic development point of view, it's about us understanding what are the business needs. So from a Fife economy, what do we have, the key sectors we support? What are we delivering what we need to deliver in Fife that's of value and benefit to businesses? So we will always engage with businesses to coordinate that and support that. So it's important that the businesses engage with us to help us understand where the gaps are. So from an economic development point of view, we're about supporting market failure. So where is there something that we need to come in and support at a local level?
And I'm going to get another question because I've got loads rattling about my head there. That's all great that you want to support them, but who supports you in the decisions that you're having to make? Because you're on the ground, let's just say, seeing everything that's going on, and the hierarchy is maybe not seeing that. So how do you turn that or narrate that in the possible best outcome for Fife? Because they've obviously got their budgets and they're just squeezing that money everywhere they can. What foot forward do you go with into Parliament or who you're talking to try and get the best situation? How do you go around doing that?
So as a local authority, we deliver our services through our committees. So we've got 7 area committees in Fife. So we may be asked by councillors to report on a particular area, a particular programme. So we'll collate that, whether it's a briefing note, and we've got our key performance indicators. So what and how are we supporting businesses and what impact has that had locally? So we will report on that. Budget is allocated obviously across the council, but anything that we do, there's always an evaluation process. So it has to be of value and benefit to businesses. We will then also showcase what we do we have a joint newsletter with Business Gateway Fife. Again, Fife Council is about collaboration and partnership. So working with our key stakeholders, our partners, and making Fife the best place to do business. So we can only do that working collectively as best we can. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is about showcasing in case studies, things like this. This is a first for us doing a podcast, but it's on understanding where technology is, what people are listening to, and it's trying to make sure we can capture people in different audiences. So You've got your social media, you've got your e-zines, your newsletters, your websites, but what other routes are there that we can reach out to businesses, and podcasts like this will hopefully help that.
That's great. I think one of the things You're always a view that it's just money. Everyone's after money. So it's what the grants are available and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there is so much more available from you both. So it might be an idea just to run through some of the different consultancy I have on board that people can get help from.
Can easy do that. Nice to see you again, mate.
Yes,
nice
you too, mate.
Here, Johnny and Vicus. Dot, that was a tremendous job. You totally undersold yourself. So Business Gateway will work hand in hand with EgDev and other services in Fife Council. And well, the reason I actually worked out that it's over 10 years I've been in Fife now. So my choice to work in Fife, and it is genuinely a real choice, is because, as Dot says, it's not just a tagline, it's not just a kind of nice to see mission statement. It is the aspiration to make it the best place to do business. And for me, it's the best place to start your business, it's the best place to grow your business. And that's why I work here, and that's why I'm super proud to have even the opportunity to do this. Because jumping a wee bit forward, a wee bit ahead, one of the things that was grinding my gears about Business Week was it just didn't seem up to date. There was a lot of stuff which was fabulous. So, your traditional Meet the Buyer events where everybody can come and it's like lots of people in one big room. There's still a total place for this. But you guys are proof positive. How do businesses engage with, stuff that interests them? Who can they bounce off? They can bounce off a critical friend, because we've spoken about this before. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the advisory team, the startup team and the growth team are there as a critical friend. Mm. So sometimes, like Michael's saying, you speak to somebody first off and they're like, I need a big bag of cash, Fraser. And you're like, actually, you don't. You need to strip it back a wee bit, and you need to get a wee bit of independent advice that can parachute in and say, you need to fix items 1, 2 and 3 before we can look at item number 4. And invariably, it's not a bag of cash. And even if it is some cash, it's a wee bit smaller. I'm going to stop saying the word cash because that'll come up in algorithms.
There's nothing wrong with cash, Fraser. No. So there's nothing wrong with that. Still legal tender. It's not dirty. It's not dirty.
And I think we're, I suppose, to find the join up between economic development and Business Gateway is that it's a reasonably kind of mature relationship. And Dot's team and my team have got a kind of good understanding about who does what and when, and there's a good cross-pollination. And believe me, across Scotland, that doesn't happen. So Fife's mature kind of economic development network, of which you guys are part, is a big reason why Fife continues to have the highest number of startups in the whole of Scotland. So the last 3 years, it's been like 600 plus, which I'm super proud of.
That's really good. And why do you think that is?
I think because, without overusing the phrase, Mick, I think because we've got advisors who are qualified, we've got advisors who are confident, we've got advisors who are trained, we've got advisors who will ultimately look for a reason to say yes as a reason to kind of say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So sometimes you do need to say no to people, but I think that kind of builds and strengthens relationships so that, as that relationship with the client from startup goes all the way through to growth, they've got somebody that they know they can come to and say, there's no daft laddie or no silly questions, and they can run that past. So I think that because that's been the case in point, because we have good people in Business Gateway, because we have good people in economic development, almost makes our job a wee bit easier.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say a wee testimonial to you, because, the businesses I've had and have, and the help that I've needed, especially setting up the showrooms, the digital boost that I got from yous, and the other help just after COVID, where a lot of people just close your door on you, and it's a case of just keeping back and knocking the door down. Somebody's there to help you, and it's maybe back to what you said earlier, Dot. You're in this business because you want to help, and there's a meaning behind it all, which was great. And I think people need to be aware there is a beacon of light, there is a bit of hope there. If you're really focused and you want to start your business, there is help there, and there's genuine people wanting to help you. And I think it's maybe a segue into the Business Babble as well. That's what we are doing. We're trying to help people and educate people. And it's back to that old saying that you can't die with your knowledge, you have to pass it on. Mm-hmm. It's so important to pass it on. And I like to think that's what we are doing here, and especially what you are doing already with the other businesses that are starting up. You're helping them and nourishing them. You're trying to create another path for them. And again, for the government and for Fife and for Scotland, again, it's contributing to society, NI, tax, all of these things. It's a whole conveyor belt of positive things.
Can I say one thing, Johnny, just straight back at you, and thank you for that. But I can say personally, having dealt with all yous, is that we feed off you as well. Right? So the positivity and the experience, and sometimes the bad kind of things that have happened and the good things that have happened, the conversations that we have, you're always good, not just specifically yourself, Johnny, right? But,
No, just keep talking to me. It's fine.
but you're always good at feeding stuff back. So in terms of contacts, this person was good, this organisation was good, this was really, really fantastic. So that helps us build our network, that helps us build our experiences trying to kind of advise other businesses. So it does cut both ways as well.
Well, it's known that you've got the recognition for, I know not everybody's looking for a pat on the back, but it's just nice to get that recognition to say, oh, I got a good job done there, and there's a great outcome that's came from it. I mean, if I was to ask you, there's loads of businesses that you've helped. Is there any one that stands out to you that you've helped from startup phase to wherever they are just now? Just a small question.
The Business Babble, obviously.
We did get help.
You did help us massively.
Aye.
I think there's a kind of coordinated passion that we'll have for businesses across economic development and Business Gateway Fife, and I think that really helps and aids the conversations. And we are real people. I live locally, Fife for life. But it is about...
Is that another hashtag?
There's always a hashtag. As long as it's hashtag Fife means business first. But the passion is there, and I think that's clear from the economic development team collectively as well as Business Gateway Fife. We want to help and we want to support. And like Fraser was saying, we will be honest. It's not just about that financial support. It's having that point of contact, that sounding board. But what's more important is businesses learning from each other. So the good thing about Fife Business Week is it's helping individuals and businesses to be supported, connect and champion their businesses in Fife and really kind of help showcase who we are, what we have, and why Fife is a good location to do business.
So could I ask you, how good is your ecosystem, your collaboration ecosystem? If you take large organizations, so Apple's value doesn't lie in a cell phone, doesn't lie in a computer, it lies in the underlying ecosystem, the apps, everything that works together. How good is that ecosystem in Fife for people wanting to open a business? So
I suppose initially I'd mentioned businesses will either come directly through Business Gateway Fife. If they liaise with us within economic development, there's no wrong door, and I think that's important. So whatever way a business comes in, there's been businesses, and you'll hear from Stacey of Ductform later on, we'll get referrals through other businesses like Ductform that they've been speaking to somebody, and that business-to-business connections and network is really, really important. But we collectively will support. So if a business comes into me, then I'll always ask if they're engaged with Business Gateway Fife. So we've got Business Gateway Fife at that local support, front-end support services. But then it's about dependent on the stage that the business is at, and Fraser's obviously spoke about that growth. So do we need to bring the likes of our Scottish Enterprise, national agencies on board and partners? Is there skills that are required? Are there gaps? Do we need Skills Development Scotland? Is there an international piece? Do we need Scottish Development International? So we collectively will signpost and bring in when it's right for the business, and I think that's really important as well.
Can I come in on that, Vickers?
Absolutely.
Cool. So this is going to sound like joined up thinking, right? And it's not all down to me, right? I promise. So if you go up to Saltire House in Glenrothes just now, where Business Gateway are based, you will also find people from Scottish Enterprise working there. You will also find people from Skills Development Scotland working there. So physically working. So like most organisations, we've got a mix between kind of agile working from home, working from different offices, but we do have a base because we thought it was really, really important that if you have an ecosystem where you've got, as we are today, with people around a table. So if Michael's working for Scottish Enterprise and he comes to me as Business Gateway and says, right, Fraser, I've got this client and this customer and they're trying to get through this. Do you have anything that you're able to support with? So I think physically, which sounds a bit counterintuitive after COVID, where everybody kind of gravitated away from an office environment, I think to have that there is good. But the interconnectivity beyond that, I can speak for our team in Fife. We're all quite nosy people as advisors, right? You'll know this, right? Advisors as people are intrinsically nosy. So you build a really good, strong network, and that goes all the way across Scotland. So I think that's got a huge value as well. And it goes back to the I'm not going to use the C word again, but it goes back to that. It's more than just an amount of money. It's that decades of experience which is there within the team.
So the good thing about Fife Business Week is you want to make it easy for businesses to do business in Fife, for lack of a better word,
Easy.
but
Easier.
also the cohesiveness of the teams. They give you a solution. They're not disjointed. They're not sitting in different offices. It's easy to do business because that's what it's after. When I start a business, I want it to be easy. Okay, far from the reality. Running a business is very, very difficult. But when you start that up, the people you want to talk to, it needs to be easy to gain access to them, different things. And I think that base plays a big role in today's society because we become so used to getting to know people across the screen that we go to restaurants, if you go out for restaurants, just do yourself a favor, look how many people are talking to one another or how many people are just texting one another at the table. We've lost that. And I think that's refreshing to hear that's what it's about. It's about collaboration. You spoke about Stacey from Ductform earlier, collaborating with the businesses, them referring you to other people, which I think is testimony to your strategy is working or seems to be working.
I think there's also another part of that as well.
Okay.
So collaborative state is a massive thing. You need to collaborate with people. But I'm going to be really brutal here. You'll not collaborate with people that are dickheads. 100%. And you talked about being real. This is the truth.
Yeah.
You can all willy wash it and say all these things.
Why is that?
Because the smallest word, but the biggest impact, trust.
So
It'll take time to build up a network of the right people and the strongest people in the collaborative state. And it's like if they were in a pub at the weekend and somebody was talking about your business, would they stand up and defend you or would they just let it slide? I know I wouldn't. So is that the person I want in my corner? 100% I do. And what you'll find is that becomes a very small minority of people. The right way of thinking, they want to get educated on the right way of thinking and you want to help each other. It's like a team. No I in team.
But I think that's what's important about Business Gateway Fife when it comes to advisors. It's finding the right advisor for your business.
Yeah.
You might not get it right first time, but that then goes back to, what Fraser had highlighted earlier. It's about that honesty, it's that trust, and it is building that. It doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But what we will do is we will always adapt and we'll support businesses in any way that we can to make it as positive as an experience as it can
dare I
be.
say it, Johnny, right, because we are fallible. So sometimes an advisor will be speaking to a business and it's just not working. And you can see that. And I think the relationship that I have with the team and the advisors have in general, it's grown up, it's mature, it's adult. We're involved with running our own businesses as well. A lot come from family businesses. So we get the pain points. You'll not get on with everybody. And I think you don't need to be the best pal, but you do need to have that trust because you get one chance with trust and when it's gone. That's it. So I think there's that maturity that if for example, it wasn't working with me, with a client, we would just swap somebody else out to get the best.
I think that's very true because I've done a lot of training on NLP. I've got my practitioner level now, so I'm so happy to say that. I know,
Here we go.
just like
That's a
thank you,
terrifying-
Rebecca
Here we go.
Wellington. But what it teaches you about sitting back and trying to understand that some people are all different. They use different senses. They act differently. You catch people on the wrong day, the wrong time, the wrong month, whatever it may be. But it's so true that you've got a whole plethora of advisors there, good advisors. Some will match perfectly with you.
Correct.
And it's just getting the right fit. And you're always trying to help people. And I suppose, well, what you've done for my business, what you've done for the Business Babble, you helped us out when we really needed this. All of this stuff here cost thousands and thousands of pounds, and we couldn't afford that.
So it's like quid pro quo, Johnny, right? So we support that, and happy to do that for the reason that, you're decent guys, but it's a bigger picture. So this goes out to X number of thousand businesses, and obviously it doesn't just stop at the confines of Fife.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be interesting to know actually how can far that expanded out the way. So it's a multiplier effect. So it's that we support this in order to get that, and it's just a bigger picture.
America and Europe, this is where this is going.
That's you.
There is.
You'll break America, Johnny.
I'm going to break it.
Right.
Break it.
Essentially, off the back. So we've got we've got 4 quite eclectic different businesses to come in, and Stacey will be first since we've mentioned her a few times now. But what's on for the rest of the week? What else is going on?
Right, Dot, you know the calendar.
Just a high
No
level
pressure.
things.
Get your phone diary out.
I might need to get my phone diary because there's a lot. I think there's over 20 events that we've got scheduled just now.
That's good.
So it will be getting what is being promoted now. So please make sure you go onto the Invest Fife website /FBW for Fife Business Week. But no, so we're kicking off obviously with this Business Babble session and that kind of support for businesses and understanding that enterprise journey. What does it mean in support for businesses? We're also having events around our Fourth Queen Freeport. What does that mean for businesses? We've got a Meet the Buyer event. There's some Business Gateway Fife sessions that have been delivered.
Some digital, some physical.
There's some environmental events through our climate change and zero waste team within Fife Council. We've got an open day at QPE in Glenrothes. I'm trying to think what else
NHS
we've got.
Fife,
I was about to say NHS, neurodiversity. And just understanding how we work with people that we're all different, as you said earlier, you know, we are all different. So there's a whole host of events, and we have another area that we are supporting and delivering on is trade development, you know, trading internationally. What does that mean? And also when it comes to business, about funding, financing and that growth. So access and financing, what does that mean? So there's a whole host, and I'm really sorry I've probably missed some, but that's just a wee flavour. So go to the website and find out more, and hope to see you there.
That's brilliant.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming on. It's been
Thanks very much.
It was absolutely amazing.
Quite natural.
Natural, Dot, so you were nothing to be nervous about.
Terrifying, but yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
We've got a wee button.
Is it stopped?
This is your world.
Shape it, or someone else will. Big thank you there then to Dot and Fraser, and we're going to move swiftly on to Stacey McKinley from Ductform. Hashtag Fife means business.
So welcome back in our series about Fife Business Week. We've got Stacey McKinley. She's the managing director of Ductform, business based in Fife, started in 1974. It's about 50 years old. So Stacey, do you want to tell us a little bit about what does Ductform do?
What does Ductform do? We manufacture and install HVAC ductwork.
Whoa, jeez, what does HVAC mean?
Yeah, so HVAC is heating, ventilation. It's basically, we make the metal boxes, if you like, that are normally hidden behind the ceilings. So if you see a grill in a commercial building, a theatre, swimming pool, hospital, behind the ceilings is runs of, kind of got two supplies. You've got like a supply and you've got an extract. And basically what those metal boxes are doing is you're taking dirty air out of a building, bringing clean air in the building. And never should the two
mix.
link.
Why? What would happen if they mixed?
Contamination, basically. You'd be bringing like dirty air back in.
So like an oil spill in the sea.
Yeah.
Not good for the environment,
No.
not good for the people.
No.
So sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, it was my dad's business. He started it one-man band back in 1974. He got good grants from the GDC back in the day, Glenrothes Development Corporation. Yeah. So it was there or Livingston, I think, that he was going to start the business, and decided to sort of start the roots in Glenrothes, and that's where we've been since then.
So this is a family business. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Second generation.
Yes.
Brothers and sisters.
2 brothers.
All involved.
Yes. Well, one's retired now, but yeah, the other one's still involved.
And now we're preparing for the 3rd generation.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the challenges around having a family business of this magnitude?
I think, I mean, you're probably part of, you'll know this yourselves, but Ductform's been, we used to joke it was my dad's baby. It's now my husband. 2 husbands, as my husband likes to tell me, and he comes second, is what he likes to remind me. And that is pretty much it. It's always been in the family. You know, sometimes we can have gatherings and it's not mentioned. It depends what the climate's like. If everything's going great, we can actually have family gatherings that doesn't, revolve around the business. And if things are tough, then that's all we talk about.
That's interesting, because I think you're in the majority of everybody else that has a business, an entrepreneur, a business owner. It's their baby. You're looking after it, you're nourishing it. And if anybody wants to threaten it, you step up very quickly to it. And I would like to ask, because we have asked this in previous episodes with family-run businesses and people that, the wife or the husband that's got a business, how do you balance life and family and business together? And is that taking a bit of time to get a fine balance?
Yeah, I mean, there's various challenges. When my children were young, they're grown up now, they're adults themselves, off doing their own thing. But when they were young, that was difficult. I was very lucky because my mum didn't work, so she helped me bring my children up, basically. So she watched them, I was able to put in the hours, and that was great for me. I don't know what I would have done had I not had that luxury, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
might probably not have been in the same job actually, but or certainly the same position. So, and then, you know, they grow up, you get them to a stage. And then, like I say, when everything's great, it's fine. The balance is easy. But when times are tough, it just takes over everything. There is no, I mean, you know, I always joke that it owns me. I don't own it. It owns me sometimes, a lot of the time. And that is reality. But, you know, I just, it's the way it is. I don't second guess it. I don't question it. That's just the way it is.
So here's a question for you then, and I've asked this a lot of times. Why do you do it?
I think I do love it. I do love it. Even when it's tough, I love it. I feel like, you know, so the workforce at Ductform, they are like my family. They genuinely are. They've been with us a long time. We're small enough to still feel like a family, and the family's not just the Ferry family, if you like. It's guys that I've had there that have seen us through thick and thin. That I consider them family. I think of them like that. I try and give, you know, I try and take things, I try and treat them in a personal way as well as just as an employer. But you do have to separate. There's no doubt about it. You do have to have, you know, a line. But I do sometimes, you know, go beyond that. But that's just the way I am. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, that'll show you why you've got that retention rate, why people have been there for so long. It's not about what you do, it's how you make them feel. And, you know, some people are chasing money. Some people are finding a balance. This is a place that I like to work. I feel valued. I feel recognised, and I get a bit of money for it. But I get some flexibility if I need to nip away and get the kids, or I'm not well. I'm not feeling that burden that I'm letting everybody down. Because some offices, some businesses to work for, they've not really captured that in our culture yet. Yeah. They're still struggling to find it because they've still got that ego that destroys a company. Yeah. So it's obviously testament to you, your dad, it's passed it on to you, and hopefully you're going to be doing that to the next generation.
Yeah.
How would you describe the culture at Ductform? How would you describe it? What is it? If I walk in, what's the feeling that I'm going to get?
I think it's, like I say, I think we're small enough to have that, you know, you can create change very quickly. You can make decisions and create that change and make that change and see that change. That's one of the beauties of an SME, I think. You know, you go into these larger outfits and any change takes forever, if it ever happens at all. I wouldn't like to work in an environment like that because we need to keep changing. Yep. So I like the fact that we've got that, but then we're also big enough to be professional and, you know, the quality's there, the reputation's there. So yeah, but like any business, we make mistakes, but we own them. You know, we track them, we own them, what we're going to do to try and avoid this happening again going forward. That's what it's all about. It's never about, you know, like who like messed up, who was, you know, it's not about that. It's about, right, what do we need to do to try and avoid that happening? How do we just be better and try and avoid that going forward? There will always be mistakes.
So better accountability, but not necessarily a blame culture.
No, absolutely
okay,
not.
So you mentioned in the beginning your dad started the business. You got some help from Business Gateway or Business Gateway's equivalent back in the day. But today, how do you guys utilize that wider infrastructure that Dot talks about, that ecosystem in terms of what not only Fife's Economic Development team offers, but also Business Gateway and Scottish Enterprise?
I genuinely use the economic development team as like a robot. Any issue I've got, they're my first go-to. That's who I go to, and they will point me in the right direction. And never do I get we can't do all that, we don't. Never. That's why it blurries the line for me. I'm not actually sure who does what, because I just go on to them and they just put me on and they retain the link. They keep the link as well. So it's not we put you onto them now, so, you know, we'll step away. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm never actually sure who does what in there. But I find a solution. So, and I have the support there, and I feel constantly supported. I felt supported probably since probably 2015 anyway. It was the first of me sort of like picking up the phone and getting help back then. And anytime I do that, and I've always had the help.
So so then you go.
No, some just says tremendous.
So just for our listeners and our viewers out there, what kind of things have they helped you with?
I mean, back in 2015, I think, you know how they use the terminology now, glow-ups, you know, women have a glow-up. I don't know if you've...
Well, no, we don't. What is that?
A glow-up's like transformation, right? So a business is the same. You'll have seen it in your own businesses. Every so many years or so often, your business needs a glow-up, if you like. You know, you need to... Where are we at? What we're trying to achieve? What do we need to do to get there? We need to change. We can't just stay the same. And we've all done it and continue to do it. So back in 2015, that's where we're at. We're at a stalemate, right? we'd gone through, we'd bought the business over in 2005, I think it was. So 2009, there was the whole economic
Downturn.
Yeah, downturn. So had a lot of challenges to deal with that. It was good in a way because it might have taken us 20 years to go through those issues, whereas we were hit with them, like straight off, had to deal with them, get through them. We did that. 2015 was a bit of, right, this is where we are. Who are we? What are we good at? What do we need to be doing? And it was simple things like help and support with our new website. The website had been sat dormant. It seems insignificant now, but it was such, we didn't have the funds at the time to do that and the help and the expertise. So something just as simple as that, it just revitalised us, I think, at that time. That was a good bit of support at that time. The minute COVID hit, the first phone call for me was economic development team. What do I do here? I mean, we work in the construction industry. It's cutthroat. It's, I've never seen, I love it, but there's not an industry like it when it comes to the supply chain and the payment processes. There's not a lot of protection there. Government, there's not a lot of protection. You're exposed. So you're on your own pretty much. So if it was not for the Fife Council's economic development team, I would feel like we didn't really have that support. But you pick up the phone to them, no, don't worry. You just feel that automatic, there's somebody else on your side. And at that time it was guidance, right? Okay, I didn't know, were clients going to stop paying us from tomorrow? Were we going to get payment? It was just going to be, I had no clue. I'm being asked by the bank, we need a 5-year plan. I don't know what we're going to be doing next week.
Did I get him started on the 5-year plans?
This is what we were faced with. A 5-year plan. The 5-year plan I was working on is gone. It's no longer valid. It's, we're hit with this. Nobody's seen it come in. Nobody dealt with it before.
Except for Wimbledon. They knew.
Wimbledon, they had the insurance policy.
Yeah, the insurance policy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll get onto that. But
yeah,
2 things I want to say to you is, I think 5 years is a very, very long time to look into the future.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the story. Business plans is a validation exercise, but it's outdated. It's something that happened in the 1930s that we're still using today, and we put too much emphasis on it. I can make a business plan do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. But the second thing is, Stacey, what is one of the smallest decisions that you've ever made that's had the biggest impact on Ductform?
I think probably we manufacture and install.
Right.
And I've got a lot of pride attached to both sides of the business. They're so different. So it's almost like running 2 businesses but under the one umbrella, and it is very difficult because you're competing in 2 very different sectors. Both got different strengths and weaknesses, and I think recognising maybe where we were better suited was probably a good decision. So we still do both, but we know what we're better at. We know what's best suited to our capabilities, our expertise and our experience. So I think that was probably just recognising that. I think what are we really good at?
That's a good answer.
And you've got that tight light solution.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so tight light. So my dad and one of my brothers, they're the technical buffs. I'm not technical at all in the business. So they've always been innovative. I think that's what got my dad to where he was initially. He was always looking for a better way, a quicker way, a cheaper way in a lot of ways. How do we get there? Brother's very technical as well. So they've always looked at ways. So we've always kind of been ahead of the game, I would say, in our industry in terms of our product and how we improve it. Tight light is, and again, it fits into current climate because it's better for the environment in that it uses less material. There's less leakage, there's less weight, there's less energy if you think about it. So there's energy, there's air going through these ducts. Less of that's needed if you've less escape, so there's less leakage points. So tight light is pretty much thinking back to these metal boxes. If you've got areas where there's leakage, then there's more cost, there's more metal. So tight light is basically, these metal boxes are formed out of one piece of metal rather than additional pieces of metal, thereby reducing the material content, weight and leakage. And that's pretty much what tight light.
So when you're saying you were in construction, so a lot of your clients will be in commercial, I'd imagine.
Yes.
So swimming pools, clubs, pubs, manufacturing
Shopping
plants,
centres.
shopping
Hospitals,
centres. So everything with a bit of ventilation, Is that, I would say that,
Yeah.
in and out of it all, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So just now, obviously, economic development, you are always liaising with them. It's like a support mechanism, I would say. How influential have they been in building up a network for you?
In Fife
Yes.
development team. Well, sadly, the majority of work's in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen.
Right.
Unfortunately. But Fife is a small place, in fairness. So you're always going to gravitate to the bigger cities. It's not so much about, I mean, don't get me wrong, they've helped us with trade shows. So again,
Yep.
we couldn't have exhibited at trade shows if it was not for the support of the economic development team. So first and foremost, there's been a lot of support there. And second of all, just being part of their stand, if you like, helps draw attention to your business. Because if you think about it, if we were to be able to go to these exhibitions, it would be a very small space that we'd be able to accommodate. So if you're part of a larger sort of bit of space in these places, that helps generate attention. But again, you need to keep going to these places. We were just discussing that earlier. You can't just go once and expect to get return. You've got to be seen to be present over a period of time. So again, the Fife Development helped us go to and continues to help us to attend trade shows, to visit these trade shows. It's not just about exhibiting, but you want to visit them, get along to these. So they do facilitate in that sense. You know, they're helping you get to the places and meet the people you need to, but it's down to you to do a lot of the groundwork in terms of actually meeting your face-to-face. That's not to say that they don't, because I have seen over time as well, them, there's been meetings set up in Rosyth, for instance, if there's a bit of activity down there. I know they've facilitated that. So, but again, you've got to get up your backside and go to these places and take yourself out the comfort zone sometimes.
So how do you find in the work environment as a leader, MD, and you're a female in construction, because predominantly it's more of a male-dominated environment. So how do you find it, to be honest with you?
I've honestly not had any issues with it. I've not had anybody being derogatory towards me. I've not had anybody not wanting to meet with me because of it. I think possibly I'm the only one that had a bit of an issue in the early days, thinking it was an obstacle. But as soon as I got over that myself, I actually thought, it's not about your gender, I don't think. It's about your likability. You know, you're going to meet someone and actually, like you say, you've got to, a lot of the times, clients and stuff, it's important that you like who you work with. Same with your suppliers. I think it's important that you like who you work with. And a lot of that, I think, comes down to the person rather than your organisation sometimes as well.
Yep.
If you can build up that rapport, which is so important, I think that's probably one of the things I've learned that's taken the longest to learn is how important that is.
So,
The relationship there.
Stacey, a little bit of advice. What is the truth about running a business? Just one thing that you wish wasn't true.
It can take over your life, can have an impact, I think, on your life.
So it can consume you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, another way, it's because you enjoy it. You know the amount of people that are walking around in a business or working for people and they hate it, but they have to go to work. We get to go to work. We get to do things.
I agree.
It's a mindset shift.
Vice versa. I mean, you could be in a business, you could be a business owner, but you've actually really just created a job for yourself.
Oh, there's a lot of that
A
happening.
lot of that happening. So,
Aye. And there's a lot of people that have just not got the education yet. But, you know, when you've got that knowledge and that experience, I mean, that's so important. And when you're sharing it with other people, like you're talking about Fife Business, Gateway, Economic Development, all of this and what they do, they're just trying to give you education. It's just making sure you're turning up and you want to absorb that information and then you want to put it out there. But I know, incredible what you're doing, and it's great that you've got the help and you're actually here as well today. And in our community at the Business Babble, we'll put you into that community as well, and we'll share it because we're looking for collaborations all the time and want to help people grow.
I also think it's a great testimony because businesses go through cycles, and it's not often you get a 50-year-old business that's still relevant today.
Yeah.
You know, and especially if it's generational, when it's fathers handing it down to children or children buying it from fathers, and you bring that third generation in, the fourth generation, that's where things become really, really tricky because the lower down the food chain you are, the less difficult life has become for you because when you were at the top.
Yeah.
So absolutely great. And with that, Stacey, we have a button.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is your world.
Shape it.
Or someone else will.
I'm so sorry.
So thank you very much, Stacey, for that interesting look into Ductform. Next up, we've got Pete McDonald and Andrew Nicholson from Viper Blast. Hashtag Fife means business. So welcome back, second episode. We've got Pete and Andrew from Viper Applied Sciences. Got that right, business founded in 2017, been going for a while. Tell us a bit about what does Viper Applied, that sounds like a mouthful, sorry, Viper Applied Sciences do?
So you can just say Viper as well.
What does Viper do?
Yeah, so we develop and sell simulation software for simulating explosions.
So if I want to blow up, if I want to blow up a building, not that I'm going to blow up a building, but if I wanted to blow up a building, you will run a simulation that'll look at things like the blast radius, the impact on the ground, all of those types of things.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much?
So I think we sit to what's maybe the hidden engineering that goes into infrastructure, airports, and you might not spot it, or sometimes you will when you come up to your airport and you see these big blocks that are outside. Part of it is that protection engineering that goes into making sure that people are safe.
Okay.
And it shouldn't surprise people that there's an element of that comes from into the engineering and the science of it. And ours is really helping the engineering firm that has to tackle that problem. All of it's how do you deal with what the loads are, and then how am I going to size things appropriately to try and keep people safe.
I'm not going to lie to you. This sounds really, really technical.
It is.
Interesting.
It is.
But it sounds massively interesting because when you drive past the airport, there's barriers everywhere.
Yeah.
And the first thing that'll jump into your mind is this is for my protection, which I suppose it is.
It is.
But
You're not going to say that. You're going to say, actually, it's in my way. Why can't I get there? But,
Why do I have to walk around?
Yeah.
No, that's a story for a different day. But there is a science behind everything you do. Is that a correct sort of assumption? How did you guys get into this?
I think, again, it's sort of that hidden side of stuff, in that actually there's a breadth of science in Fife and in the industries and the businesses that are here. We're in Dunfermline, and up in Hospital Hill there used to be DERA, which was part of MOD, and it developed the science for how deep could submarines go, and they used to do test articles, take that out and figure that out in the Forth. They used to do explosion tests on ships to make ships and submarines safer. And I did physics by degree, didn't quite know what I was going into afterwards. A local firm picked me up and said, how do you feel about numerical modelling? I didn't know what that meant. And what it meant was, how are you going to tackle these problems on computers? And it meant doing a bit of the engineering and a bit of the computing side of it. And yeah, I've been running with it for about 20 years now.
So AI is really relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. How relevant is AI in your field? Is it something that really relevant, not so relevant, will be relevant?
I think there's a lot of emphasis to try and make it relevant. So we go to a lot of conferences. That's one of the main mechanisms that we advertise ourselves. And at conferences, there are a lot of discussion about how you train AI to predict explosive effects on buildings and things like that. And a lot of people are using our software to train those AI models.
Okay.
I think, ChatGPT is a bit different to training an AI model on something that's life critical and safety critical. And so I think in our industry, there's going to be a different take on it, but it's definitely creeping in. Yeah.
Okay, so there's definitely AI will help you to deliver your solution in the future. What does a typical client look like for you? Is it an engineering firm? Is it somebody building a big shopping center? Somebody building a new railway?
Yeah, so a typical customer for us is a large multinational structural engineering company.
Okay.
So on the one hand, you have the big companies who are doing big developments, and they have a couple of people in that company who are doing a specialism on blast. They have a requirement, different parts of the world have different requirements, but typically you have to design against some kind of threat.
Okay.
So after 9/11, right,
I was going to ask you about that.
There was this understanding that, okay, well, these things do happen, we have to design against them, right? And so a good example is if you have a building and it's held up by columns, you have to be able to lose one column and the building doesn't fall down, right? So how do you design your building to make sure that works?
So could I ask just like an off-the-wall question?
Yeah.
Burj Al Khalifa.
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that thing structurally sound? I'm asking for you because I know you want to go there. I
I've
just want to ask if
talk.
it's structurally sound for my friend John. Asking for a friend.
I mean, we haven't worked on it, but I can almost guarantee you that someone has done an assessment on that
Okay.
structure against. These
I would
types
say
of-
there's parachutes in the top cupboard though, upstairs, top floor.
I mean, at the same time, we also work with like really small niche companies, right? So when you go to the City of London, all the buildings are glass, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that glass is blast-proof.
Really?
And there's been people who have designed those buildings to withstand a certain threat. And so there's a lot of stuff you don't, like Andrew said, you don't see.
So it's in your everyday life, but you just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes beyond that. I mean, there's, hydrogen's a big thing. Hydrogen does tend to explode, right? So we have, people looking at hydrogen explosions, oil and gas explosions. Batteries also tend to explode. So that's another growing market. Chemical processing also tend to explode, right? And just last week, there was that accident in Tennessee where unfortunately 16 people died in a explosive storage facility. And that's another kind of, area that we work in, when you're dealing with explosives and store with explosives, you have to make sure that you're designing your facilities so that those types of things don't happen.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with Business Gateway, Fife's Economic Development team. How did that come about? Scottish Enterprise, how did that come about and how have they helped you guys?
Yeah, so obviously we're founded in 2017, and around 2022, we decided to have like a little reset and rebrand. So we became Viper Applied Science, and we decided that actually we thought we'd push the software sales a bit more and we'd try and kind of grow the business a bit more aggressively. But at that point, we kind of didn't really have computers to run the simulations on, and we were just like three guys, we'd quit our jobs and we're doing all this kind of stuff.
So I think we had Digital Boost was one.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of just assistants in terms of, I thought I knew quite a lot from a technical background, but then you step into business and you suddenly go, how do you come up with an employee manual?
Yeah.
And how do you come up with like policy documents?
Yeah. Health and safety, contracts, all this stuff. So this is all stuff Small Business Gateway helped us with. They brought in consultants. They gave us,
time, help.
Yeah, we had HR booth come in and kind of do a lot of stuff with us. And that's just stuff that we didn't have to think about really. It took it off our plate. And I think when you're trying to grow a business, to pay your salary, right, because you have no money coming in, then you want to focus on, in our perspective, the technical, the stuff that's value added. And I don't want to write an employee manual, right?
No.
So I think.
How do you guys balance the running of the business? Okay, who does what?
Do you want the little joke about the fact that my wife calls you my work wife and probably you're... A lot of it is what you said earlier about trust. And a lot of what Pete does for me and what I hope I do for Pete is like, there'll be times when you're on it and you can manage it, but then equally it's the fact that you can rely on, the people in your team to help you out when you need it. So, and having faith that they've got your back. So
a little bit of a left field question. Is there any mistake that you guys keep on making that's just disguised differently? Because in business, if there was one way of doing business, okay, somebody would have written a manual, we'd all be following it and we'd all be billionaires because somebody's nailed the formula. But have you, through your tenure, because business is about learning and not repeating the same mistakes, has there been small things that you sat back and go, I'm repeating the same thing? Has there been instances like that? Or is it not really?
Yeah, I think especially now. So we do a couple of things. So we do, most of the business is selling the software, developing the software. But we also do some kind of engineering consultancy. So people come to us, ask us questions, and we'll, do that thing. And it's quite easy when people say, I need you to do this work for us. You say, well, that's a job, we can do that, we're qualified, that's money that will come into the business. But that's a big distraction from the core business, which is developing the software and trying to scale that up. And trying to find that balance between, quick wins and long-term
longevity
is something that last year particularly we really struggled with. And I think, this year we just decided that we're going to be a bit more strict on what we do and what we don't do, and really focusing on the software, and that was the goal.
I suppose that is tough because these projects bring in cash straight away that feeds the family and pays the bills.
Yep.
And then there's a lot more strategic things that actually move the needle and have a bigger impact longer term. and it's about making decisions to trade it off.
I think we equally, like, there's things you would look back and you would say you would do them differently, but ultimately, you know, where we are now, we've built on the successes of actually taking on the hard challenges and doing it.
So if you had to take away everything and you had to start a new business, what's the one thing that you take with you from this experience? What's the one thing that you would take with you?
Apart from this guy.
Yeah, apart from your... But that is good though.
No, I mean, I think, well, for myself, one of the best things is not having to necessarily do the journey by yourself. So if you've got people that you've spoken to and you want to, you know, you've had a round of coffee and you said, hey, it'd be great to start a business together. My advice would be go for it and jump in. I would say it has to build on trust. You have to feel that trust and have it reciprocated.
I mean, if I could take one thing from what we're doing now to a new business, it's network. Like, I think it's taken us quite a few years to build up network and to be known in our industry, right?
Okay.
And that was the big shift from when we started to now. When we started, nobody knew who we were. And I remember there was a couple of customers that I would email regularly. I would try and call them, sales call, try and get in, and just got nowhere. And now they're some of our best customers. And, it's just about not giving up and just trying. And eventually that network comes. And, the more events you go to, the more people use your software, your services, the bigger your network gets and the easier it is to get into the next place, right? And so I think, although sometimes, and we have this debate all the time, right? There's a balance between doing the technical work and selling what you already have. Mm-hmm. You have to balance those two, but if you don't sell what you have, you'll never have the cash flow coming in to develop the next thing. And so I think that's where we complement each other quite well. Like I quite like speaking to people and selling and going to events and things. And Andrew's got one of the biggest brains I've ever seen. So like it works quite well. So
I'm just going to ask you, what makes your partnership work? And let me phrase it, because there are partnerships that work really, really well. Okay. And I have seen guys burn businesses to the ground in partnership because they didn't get along. So what makes your partnership work? What makes it different?
I mean, we had a chat last week with some colleagues at a conference. What was quite interesting was they said we're a bit of yin and yang. So Pete gets a lot of his energy from being out at conferences and networking, and I'll do that because that's absolutely what the business needs. But
it's not what you enjoy, Andrew.
No, it's not what I enjoy. I mean, I'll say I'm the definite geek that loves the science and the engineering side of it, and part of what comes from that is the follow-on, where it's like, well, what are we going to do next, and how are we going to take it on? And I'll feed off of that side of it.
I guess I would just add, I mean, there are two parts to that. So one is trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been in situations before where, it's clear that's the most important part of running a business, right? And so I think Andrew and I, at this point, we've been through a lot in the last, years running the business. We trusted each other kind of implicitly, right?
Okay.
The other thing is that, we're both technical, right? We both, did the work. We both worked in companies doing like very similar jobs. I think having similar backgrounds is also important when, you need that level of trust. I think we both know that we know what each other is doing, if that makes sense.
So what's in the future for Viper? What does the future look like?
Scaling up.
That's a big word. What does it mean? Global domination.
I mean,
what does it mean for you? What does the future look like? If you could have anything, what does the future look like for Viper?
In the short term or the
long term? Let's look in the next 24 months, because that is long term at the moment, believe me.
I mean, the next 24 months, I mean, if we could double in size in the next 24 months, that would be the goal.
Okay.
I mean, we're trying to hire right now, and hiring's really tough.
Why?
I think partly because we're niche in what we do.
So a very specific skill set.
We're very specific. I mean, being completely frank, being in Fife doesn't help, right? Because if we were in London, we would find it easier.
Okay.
But at the same time, none of us want to move to London, right? We like where we are. We like the location. We're quite close to Edinburgh, but still, it's a challenge to get people to,
It's against the pool of London, is what we'll say. London's got a big pool because of
just location and
and obviously some of the bigger companies that we've mentioned, have bases in London, and that's where they tend to put their workforce.
I mean, I think the other thing is that this is our fault, is we're just crazy busy. And I think you're like, well, I'll just spend the next, couple of days trying to hire people and write job specs and all this stuff. And you're like, but you've got customers phoning you.
Where is this? Yeah. Juggling competing priorities.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, we do the best we can. And I think that's all we can do.
I suppose it's as long as you keep on moving forward. There's no shame in failing. As long as you've learned from it and you don't repeat the same mistake again.
Yeah. Here's a question for you then. What one strength that you feel you don't have just now, but you would want to have it, and it would improve you, family, and your business? That's to both of you.
Oh,
that was.
Sorry, I thought this was Vicky's podcast.
One strength.
Because the reason why I say this, whilst giving you time to think, most business owners, entrepreneurs were very good at certain things. Like you're saying, you're very good. You're saying he's got the biggest brain here, and then you're good at the networking side of things and speaking to people. But it's really finding your path, and it's great that you've got a team, and it's great that you're a business partner, so you can help each other.
Yeah.
But it's, if anything, that I've looked at myself. We've had several conversations. What one thing would I like to change would be to be more computer literate, because I feel that'd be a really strength.
I'm just gonna caveat that. Okay, this man says that he's not computer literate, but let me tell you, he can work a mobile phone better than anybody else I know.
Can phone the number. That's it. So, but it's to best serve you for your life.
I think letting go of some stuff.
Right. Okay.
That, I think as said before, running a business is all consuming and it becomes your baby, and it's quite hard to let aspects of it go. And so there are bits, that Andrew tells me nearly every week, you need to hire someone to do this. And I'm like, well, but I'm managing, and that's debatable, right? But I think if letting go a bit sooner, at a certain point you have to let go, you're forced to, right? But I think if you let go a little bit sooner and bring other people in, that's probably a wise decision.
Maybe you're already halfway there because you've actually admitted that.
That's it, yeah. So this podcast is,
So the interesting thing is about business is about managing risk, okay? And you all know the risks in your business. Everybody knows it. But you know what makes it real? When you have to write it down. Then you have to look at something and then it's real around that.
I was going to say, a lot of our time is spent looking at forward and what are we doing next. And you always say that you spend the time reflecting and going, right, what do we, that looking inward side of stuff and making better plans. And you go, right, we're going to have a meeting about plans, but actually we're going to talk about this and we're going to talk about that. And then you never actually sit down and do it. A bit more time to do that, I think, would be...
A little bit more time on the strategic things that move the needle.
Side stuff.
Instead of focusing on the urgent and important, the stuff that consume you.
It's like we talk a lot, and you've said this a lot to me as well. It's never ever big things. It's always small little things, but it makes the biggest impact when you get them all right. It's just sitting down, writing them down, go, okay, we're going to try and do this because it's got a good outcome. It's got a positive destination, and we just have to get it frickin' done. And this thing is, secret is everybody's going through the same shite. Everybody's going through
Some people are just better at masking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a question.
Go.
If a plane hits a tower block in all the scenarios that you've ran through and experienced, does that free fall in its own footprint from that happening?
So there's actually a really good report that you can read online about that. So there's been lots of work done on that. So, there's no conspiracy there, I think.
So it does.
The engineering is clear. Yeah.
So it's crap. That engineering was... you're not expecting a plane to hit it. These are the scenarios that you are working on, really, is events like that. So,
part of the question as well is, and not to be... should a building be designed to survive a plane flying into it? Would you just end up using so much concrete and so much steel? And we talk about sustainability. There are buildings that you think there should be an element of protective design applied to them. But I equally don't go to my house and go, you know what, I want bollards placed out in my garden. It's about being appropriate.
Yeah. So the reasonable man principle needs to apply.
Yeah. And the other side of it is you'll have people say to you in our industry, and people say, this needs to be blast proof. And just to say that there's no such thing as blast proof.
Okay.
There's a level of protection, and you weigh off, this is the threat and this is the risk. And ultimately it's a balancing act of cost versus benefit.
Yeah.
because otherwise you're just going to end up with, well, you're going to build a bunker.
Yeah. So,
And who would want to go and work in a bunker, as a building? We want buildings where, they give interactive spaces where you can see out into the world. You got a skyline, especially if you were in London. You wouldn't want to just be in a concrete box.
so there's so interesting story, completely off topic, but there is a hotel in China that's built going down.
Yeah.
And in order to get past that, they've got these digital screens that sort of emulate natural life. But the problem is the hotel is circular. Okay. So I don't know if it works. I definitely want to go stay in that hotel. I definitely want to go see that experience just to see what it's like. Because there is a difference between simulated light and images and natural light and images. And I think to your point is, though, it's a trade-off. What are you prepared to sacrifice? What are you prepared to do?
I think they've talked about it for planes as well, in terms of, like, we obviously have the windows cut through so that you can see natural light, but they've talked about, well, if you did a screen, you suddenly wouldn't have to have all those reinforcements and all that extra material to make the windows strong enough to hold the pressures. But how would you feel in a plane when you actually couldn't naturally see out and it was just a video feed?
I don't know. Would I be less nervous? Would I be more
Well,
nervous?
they brought in cars now. You've got all these electric cars. They've just got little cameras, so your wing mirrors are no
Yeah,
longer
your
there.
wing
They're all
mirrors.
kind of projected inside now.
Yeah, but would I be
guess
comfortable for my car just driving in
it's a
my car
psychology.
driving itself?
You only
I don't know.
You only know what you know.
Yeah.
And change is uncomfortable for people. But eventually when it's implemented, you go, it's okay.
Yeah, the
It
new
takes
way.
a little bit of time. So sometimes you just got to do it and deal with the ramifications. And then people go, it's all right now, I'm used to it. Look at NI. I'm not going that one. though.
Thanks, Johnny, for that.
That's
Guys,
brilliant, though, yeah.
absolute pleasure. We've got a button.
We're going to push this button for us.
This is your world. Shape it.
Or someone else will.
So thank you to Pete and Andrew. Now we have Temi from AYT Foods, and I will not pronounce her second name because it's quite difficult for me, maybe not for everybody else. And remember, hashtag, guys, what is it?
Fife means business.
So welcome back. Episode 3, we have Temi Ajayi-Salami from AYT Foods. Welcome. Temi, tell us a little bit about your story and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on this platform. My name is Temi Ajayi-Salami. You can call me Temi. So I moved to Scotland with the family in February 2021. And
Could I just ask you why Scotland? Of all the places in the world that you could go, why Scotland?
okay, so my husband got admission for his master's degree in Edinburgh.
Okay.
So we moved to...
So not really your decision.
No, well, it was a planned decision, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so we applied for a couple of schools and we got admissions in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Aberdeen, but we chose Edinburgh Napier. So the person who got the accommodation for us got it in Dunfermline. So that's why we found ourselves in Dunfermline and we loved it. So
Okay, so you loved it. And how did this idea start? How did this business start?
Okay. I've always been a business person and entrepreneur since way back 2003. And I had a catfish farm and egg depot back home.
Okay, you need to explain what catfish is. So catfish isn't the MTV series.
No,
Okay.
catfish is a fish.
There we go. Well done.
Because I was there bright back and lift heavy things.
So moving here, I knew I was going to start a business, but I didn't know what it was going to be at the point. So when we got here, there was no Afro-Caribbean grocery store around, and it was quite a challenge because, having familiar foods around, it was difficult. We had to, after doing some research, I found some stores in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and England. So I would easily order online, but it was kind of off. And I knew we had a growing community, So I decided to do some research on it and see if it was going to be something that would be viable for me to pursue. And I did, and I stumbled on Business Gateway. I found a lot of resources on the website, which helped me with my research. And that was when I knew that I was going to go into it. I did the research for about 2 years before I decided to go all out. I was working with HMRC and then moved to DWP. and decided to start the business December 2023.
It's brilliant. So there's a lot of validation. You've done quite a lot of research and validation on it, which is good. Not everybody does that. Some people just jump straight in. There's an argument for it. So and since you've started up now, then how have you found it? Like, are you getting quite a lot of business coming through? And is it just from a community that's there, or is anybody coming in? Are you getting quite a lot of different kind of backgrounds coming through?
Okay, so while I actually opened the business not just for the Afro-Caribbean community,
Right.
It was open to all food enthusiasts and anybody who would care to learn about the culture. And I must say that it's been quite encouraging from different communities. I have a lot of them as customers. They come in, they want to learn more about the food, they want to learn about what we do, what we have. And I have the store is stocked with variety of items, products that anywhere from any background, you would definitely find something you're familiar with. So, yeah.
Good. I'll be in. I'll definitely come in.
This man
Like my
eats
food.
everything. He loves his food. There's never scraps left. He is the man that'll take it.
So if you look back now on your journey, what is the one thing you underestimated the most in starting this business?
Well, it's the stress. The stress that comes with starting a business. Having had business experience of like since 2003, and moving here, I had a lot of workforce back home.
Mm-hmm.
Coming here was a different ballgame, the staffing and limited support in terms of having to delegate, some things that you need to do. So I became the marketer, branding officer, social media manager, accountant, all round.
Delivery driver, product order, merchandiser.
Exactly. Procurement officer, everything, admin, secretary, everything at once. So, and I've got a family. I've got 4 kids. So
Not easy.
Well,
it's not easy. It's all round work because once I close from work, I get home.
You
I'm
start
in the
your
kitchen.
second job, yeah.
Exactly. And and I've still got pending things to do. So yeah, but I'm learning to delegate things now. I've got a team of 4, so
good.
we're getting
That's
there.
good.
So how difficult do you find retail? Because I mean, there's a shift between having an actual online store presence and have something on the internet where people can find you. Is that difficult? Is that something that you worry about, or are you just focusing on the store?
Well, we have presence, both we have online presence, and we have the physical store as well.
Which one's better?
Well, the physical, because the physical, I would say, the physical store. And that's because, like I said, I had limited resources at the start. I did the website initially. I built the website from scratch with WordPress, not even the ready-made one, with WordPress. Before I was able to afford getting someone to manage that. So it was kind of a bit of a challenge initially. But now we have a team of 4, and their focus now is to get the business out there to have a wider reach. We deliver across the UK, Northern Ireland, Wales, England as well. So that's getting a bit of traction because now we're getting visibility out there. And I think the awards we've been winning have been helping. So, yeah.
So you're based in Bridge Street in Dunfermline.
Yes, please.
So big step and well done for taking that leap. And obviously the difference from being back home to here, the staffing, the payroll, everything's completely different. So well done there. That's tremendous.
Thank you.
How big a help has been Business Gateway? Because when you get a retail store, there's a lot of money that has to get pumped into a retail store. The framing, the racking, the tills, the desks, the flooring, the lighting, everything. Just explain to me how much Business Gateway, how much they've done for you.
Oh, I would say Business Gateway has been like my number one go-to platform from the get-go. And that's because, like I said, I do a lot of research. So that was the thing that came up initially, and it helped with the resources. However, in terms of funding, because that was a major challenge when I wanted to start, they were able to signpost me to the town center building funds, and that funds really helped with the fittings. They are also able to point me to the direction of a repayable grant,
Yep. Okay.
which was really helpful when I wanted to start. And of course with my savings. So, and aside from that, my officer, what's it called now? Is it account officer or
Yep.
sales officer?
Yep.
Yeah, has been quite helpful. She checks up once in a while. And then I also take it as a point of duty to update on the successes or progress of the business, just in case there's something else she needs to, point my direction to. And if I have any, whenever I'm kind of confused in terms of licenses or some certain laws, I just send an email and she responds as fast as she can.
Yeah, that's
So-
tremendous.
What kind of things have you learned from having a retail space in Scotland that you never knew? And what things, if you were going to do it again, what would you learn from your experience just now?
Okay. Well, having a retail store, I learned that because there are different rules that applies to your location.
Okay.
And from the onset, I wanted to have a store at the city center. So it was an eye-opener that even stores, some properties at the city center had different applicable laws.
Yeah.
Listed building, unlisted building, So it was quite a challenge. And if you're not thorough with your research, you will miss out on these things and probably get into trouble.
Yep.
So it wasn't something that you could easily just go online to see. You need to actually check what is applicable to the address, to the particular property, which because I mentor some women-led businesses. I mentor some women that wants to start their business. And these are things I have to point out to them because it's not easily accessible online. Even when they see, they don't know what they're looking for. You want to put up your signage. You need to get approval, depending, and the approval takes a lot of, time. And you can't just go on to put it up without getting the approval.
Yeah.
So these are things that I've learned. So if I want to get another store, I know that, okay, I have to put this and this in place that before.
So what are the plans for AYT Foods? What's the sort of next 24 months look like?
Oh, AYT Foods is not just a store. It serves as a cultural hub for the community. We also run a culturally sensitive food bank, and we currently have 16 beneficiaries. And what brought about the food bank was when I got here, like I said, I had access to food bank, but it wasn't something we were familiar with. So we had to make do of it. So when I opened the store, that was the number one thing because I knew families in our community
Would be in the same situation.
Exactly. And I just wanted them to have a soft landing, so to say, So we currently have 16 beneficiaries. And because of the limitation, self-funded, so I'm kind of limited to the number of beneficiaries. Sure. So I want to expand that. And I also want the vision for AYT Foods is to be a one-stop center. So where we'll have the grocery, dining section, household essentials under one roof, because we're open to launching the first Nigerian restaurant in Ductform 5, and that'll be in December, hopefully.
Tremendous.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so we also need to expand the food bank as well. So that's the 24 months plan.
Well done.
I'll definitely be coming to the restaurant.
Sure.
So what about other cultures coming into the show? People like ourselves coming in there. What are we going to expect when we come into your retail store?
When you come into the retail store, my store is not just an ordinary store. The first is the environment, the ambience. You walk into the store and you have the sense of belonging. It's clean, neat, and you're just like, wow. And that's not what you will find in other regular, cultural stores like that. So that's the key thing for me. And then our customer service is top notch. We have variety of spices. We have staples, that you would.
And do you do like menu sets? So if I come in, I don't have a clue about some of the cooking, the Caribbean cooking. Do you have menus that you can say, try this, this, and this, and put this together? And
Okay,
this will
so
work
we
well?
have some recipes. Although I don't have I'm still working on putting it in a book, recipe book. But we have recipes available on our blog on the
Right,
website.
okay.
So if you are looking at cooking something that you're not used to, you could just easily go to our website,
Get from
and
there.
then the recipe section, you have variety of recipes to choose from. Simple, easy recipes that you can
That's
just
what I want.
explore. Yeah.
Very good.
And have you done anything? So you've got Business Gateway, you've got all of that, Investment Fife, you've got this Fife Business Week as well. What have you done in Dunfermline as well? Because obviously Dunfermline's a community as well, so there's Dunfermline Delivers. Does that help you in any way with the shop frontage as well? Because I believe there was a grant for that.
Yes.
Have you dealt with them before?
So we got a grant for the signage, the shop front
That's
fitting,
it.
and I think I mentioned that earlier by the it was through Business Gateway. I can't remember the particular department that handled that.
Right.
But yeah, we were able to get a grant for the fittings, and able to get the grant, and it really helped. It really helped because, you know, when you're starting a new business, you're limited with funds. It's not like you have anything reserved. I was able to save over the 2 years, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, it's still not substantial. And because of the because of the way I wanted my store to be, you know, I couldn't explain it to anyone because I knew what I wanted in my head. So, and when I got that place, it was like the perfect place that I had envisioned in my head. So it's quite big, and putting products in there was quite intensive. The capital was intensive. So I put in products of 30,000 worth of products in the store, and it swallowed it.
Yep.
I had to be putting empty boxes to fill up the shelves, yes.
Right.
And you would come in and you would think maybe I've just put in something worth of 5,000. No, it was 30,000.
Wow.
But over time, we've grown, yeah.
So how does that work now? Because I think Dot was talking about earlier about learning through Business Gateway and all the other platforms about importing, exporting. That would be a big thing as well. The cost of realising how much it is to import a lot of these foods. Imagine you're importing these foods. So then just understanding the scalability, the cost implications, then trying to meet your margins as well, your profitability, to cover your rent, to cover your wage. And so many entrepreneurs, so many business people forget to pay themselves first. That's your cost. That should be in your costs already. Then it's the profitability at the very end. So how did you navigate around that? Because you've obviously, you've done it really correct, in my opinion, doing 2 years worth of research and market validation, a fancy word, but you've done that already. So well done to you for that.
Okay.
But how have you measured, how have you pivoted from the import costs and the margins? How have you worked that?
Okay, so we have, initially it was a challenge because getting suppliers that would give you competitive prices, it was a major challenge. But over time, now we have like 4 suppliers for each category. So we just compare prices, and because we have agents that bring all of the things, I don't have to import directly from each African or Caribbean countries.
Right.
We have companies that do all of that. So now, at least for each category, we have the fresh produce, we have the frozen, we have the dry food. So we now have like 4 to 5 suppliers in each of these categories. So if that has really helped. But initially when we started, it was a struggle. It was just one. And now we are at a level where we don't have to pay immediately. We get that, brings
20
that
days,
like
60
28 days,
Right.
which has helped,
brilliant.
compared to when we first started, that we had not, gained that trust with the suppliers. So, yeah. And paying getting a salary. Well, I'm still not there yet. I'm still not there yet. But what I've tend to do is to generate my payroll monthly. So I don't take anything out. It goes to the director's loan account. So I know that the company is owing me.
So that's the interesting thing. When you start a business, right at the top is shareholders, yeah?
Yeah.
But you know, when payment happens, right at the bottom
Yeah.
is the shareholders get. The shareholders take all the risk, but you know, they get the least reward because you got to pay your employees first. Then you got to pay your suppliers because else they won't deliver. And you got to pay the expenses. So being in business, and especially retail, because the face of retail has changed. So it's phenomenal what you've achieved in such a short space of time. It's really good. I mean, it's some of the fundamental principles we talk about that gets applied in real life that we like to see. So job well done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good.
Yep.
And with that, Michael's going to press the button.
This is your world. Shape it.
Or someone else will.
Well, so thank you very much, Temi, for that enlightening story about how you started your business. Next up, we have Steve Wilson from Focus Business Consultancy. And remember, #Fife means business. So episode 4, here we go. Steve Wilson, Focus Business Consulting. Steve, tell us a little bit about how you got here today. Not the road you traveled.
He was going to do that.
I knew when I said it.
The road works.
The road you traveled, the road less traveled.
I had a 30-year prior career in business insolvency and recovery.
But why energy?
I just fell in my bad crowd. I went to a number of networking events, and there was a energy broker there who was typical of most that I found, who was just unprofessional, dodgy, non-transparent, made it sound like he would go behind the curtain and bring out some magic figures. Nobody knew exactly how he did what he did. I was working for a firm of accountants at the time, and I asked if I could give him our bills to have a look at. And he manipulated the figures and came back, and it was just a horrific experience. Needless to say, we didn't go ahead with it. And then some months later, he left, or was, as we used to say, encouraged to go and celebrate his success elsewhere. And we found another energy broker who came in, and I said, I'll take this guy as a mentor. He became my mentee, and took him through the process, and then I asked him a lot of questions because I did business recovery and insolvency. You know, we could be running an engineering firm one week and a car sales franchise the next. And so I'm always asking questions about business. I'm just curious that way, or nosy. And asked him a lot of questions, and he asked why I asked so many, and I was just curious, and the more I got to know, the more I liked. And I decided to step out. It's as simple as that.
So I'm going to go in here. So utilities, there's nothing sexy about it, right? Utilities. But there's something sexy about saving money. When, I'd dumb it down this way, commercial and residential, just for people maybe in the residential world, I know it's commercial for you. Why would you want to pay more money than your neighbour? It's the same gas, it's the same electricity. Why would you want to pay more? And it's as dumbing it down as much as that, especially at a time where it is just now, politically and where everybody is financially. What is the main objection you get from the commercial world that you're in? What is one of the main objections that you're getting? Because it should be so easy for you to go in and say, I'm here to try and save you some money.
I'm possibly the wrong person to ask. I land 95% of the clients that I speak to. So I lose roughly 1 in every 20.
That's too much.
Well, everything's too much. I'm quite a competitive person, so you're right, it is too much. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, you hit the nail on the head earlier on. It is the same, whether it's water, gas, electric, it's the same stuff coming through the same pipes and wires, and people are just simply overpaying. A lot of that is due to the industry being unregulated, and there being lots of hidden fees and commissions in that. And if people were more transparent about the actual net cost of the energy, and then open about the amount of commission that they've inflated the price by, then it would be a much easier world.
So do you showcase that to your potential clients?
Always. So right at the quote stage, if somebody asks me for a quote, I will give them the quote, and I will transparently tell them within that quote is X amount of either pounds and pence due to my company as commission, or there's an additional, whatever commission uplift on the unit cost of that energy that covers what I do.
So Steve, how did Business Gateway and Fife Economic Development team, how did they help you along this journey?
it was quite an interesting thing to do. Like I said, 30-year prior career in business insolvency. So
So you're only 27 now.
Good, thank you. Should have got Specsavers. The corporate background part of me meant that in a lot of my life, I've helped shut down many businesses, and I've seen the reasons that businesses fail. But I've always been an employee, and it wasn't until I was 51 when I started my own company. So with the help of Business Gateway, lots of help in shutting businesses down, never started one. Never had to get involved in that aspect of it. And again, what Temi touched on earlier on, when you start a business yourself, you are the managing director, you're the head of sales, your compliance, your health and safety, you're the employee, I'm the office cat, I'm the cleaner. There's a lot to take on board while you're still trying to do the very thing that you do in business. So yeah, there was a lot of support from Business Gateway Fife, and I still get an annual phone call. I actually work with Business Gateway Fife and Fife Council's Economic Development team as an outside advisor for energy now. But I still get my call every year from Business Gateway just going over stuff.
So a little bit of off the wall question, because you've got you're an overnight success story, 51 years in the making. Okay, so what would you say is one of the reasons that your younger self would consider a failure? So something that happened you would consider a failure, but that your older self will say, you know what, that was actually a very good lesson, or something really good came from it.
The only thing I can think of is, and again, everything in life's timing, isn't it? It's all sliding doors, but my younger self would have said, you should have done this years ago. I love what I do. I speak to people that I've worked with through my accountancy career that I'm still in touch with, and they're all making noises about retiring or semi-retiring, and I have none of that. I just feel like I'm getting started. So my mistake, if I was younger, I was saying, right, old man, you should have done this a long time ago.
Okay, so we hear a lot about the energy crisis. Is energy in crisis?
No. It's a manipulated market. I've been lucky enough to speak for the last 3 years at Scotland's Manufacturing and Supply Chain Conference at the ACC, and usually during the course of that I'll talk about, and of course when we went through the energy crisis, we're supposed to call it a crisis. And that's kind of where we are. There were marginal increases to overheads, but nothing that justified the hike in energy that we saw. And if you drill down into that, and I won't bore you because this needs to be kept relatively short, but there were about 7 main reasons why the energy crisis, your words, not mine, happened. And none of those have been resolved or eradicated. They're still all there. So the market was manipulated and then it came back down again.
So we're going down the road of conspiracy theory here?
It's not conspiracy theory, it's a straight fact that the market has been manipulated. And I think what people don't understand about energy is there are so many players in the energy field because nobody talks transparently about the industry. There are so many players in the sphere of energy and they don't always communicate very well. And that lack of communication also drives prices up the way.
Who owns the power stations? Are they all locally owned? Are they owned by the UK government? Or are they owned by outside capitalist firms? How does it work?
Good question. The national grid, as everybody knows it, the national grid is mainly think of that as motorways. Mm-hmm. That is the high voltage structural distribution of our electric system. It works for gas as well, but the grid is particularly in response to electricity. And then within that, you've got regional things called DNOs, which are distribution network organisations. And what the DNO is, they're responsible for taking it from, if you like, the power station into a general area and then distributing it and transporting it to houses, businesses and what have you. And then in amongst that, you've got energy suppliers, who are really just people that buy on a commodities market. There's a common misconception that energy suppliers sell you the energy that they create. They've got a power station, they've got a wind farm, they've got solar. They do generate some, but nothing like they sell. So energy, gas and electric, is like carbon, steel, coal. It is a commodities market. Energy suppliers go into that market as purchasers. They purchase it at a wholesale rate. They don't have to disclose how much they've bought it for. And again, seasonally, depends on if you buy in winter, it's going to be dearer than summer. Or if there's anything geopolitical that impacts the market, again, prices can spike. But they're buying it at wholesale cost. They then decide how much margin they want to put on that, and then they offer it to either customers directly as a business, or they'll put it on a comparison platform and allow it to be sold, where again a broker will also put a commission on that and a platform that does that, a comparison site, will also put a commission on it. So there are hidden commissions in there that, for example, I'm big enough to be able to go direct, thankfully, to a lot of suppliers, so I can cut out some of the middleman costs and therefore save the client more money.
So, like, it was interesting. Was it deregulation of gas and electricity? I think it was 1996. I think it was. So that's when your Scottish Gas, aka Centrica, French company, Scottish Power, Mo something. Again, not a British company. Again, they keep the brand. But that's when everybody came to the marketplace and they could basically sell you gas and electricity. So I'm just curious to know, from 1996 to now, why is it not regulated?
It's quasi-regulated. It gives a token nod to being regulated. So Ofgem is the industry regulator.
Mm-hmm.
There are many things that are reported to Ofgem that they don't particularly have any interest in acting on. So Ofgem doesn't do much. Since the energy crisis, we lost 32 suppliers. And in the main, they were the Johnny-come-lately suppliers that didn't have necessarily the financial infrastructure.
Right.
And Ofgem has been a lot more restrictive on suppliers going forwards now, in terms of you've got to have a certain amount of capital reserves to have a license to trade gas and electric. And there is a company that's potentially about to go into administration, if not today, on Monday. And they've been under scrutiny from Ofgem for some time, and they've had a restriction put on their ability to sell any further product. And they've been hit with a huge fine by Ofgem.
That's good. I've got a question just going back slightly on your previous career. So insolvency and the experience you've had with businesses, and what's actually the common theme for businesses that are in trouble and going under? What do you see that might help businesses kind of stay away from that if they can?
Do you know what? There's no hard and fast in terms of, the two gentlemen you had on earlier. There's a great example. You can get two people that work really well together in a business, and as Vic has rightly said in one of his questions, that can either really work and grow, or they just don't work and it drags it down. So there are lots of reasons businesses can fail. If you take a business that sells something, does it have too much competition? It has to buy stuff, it has to store it, it has to sell it, whether it sells it online or whether it sells it to a shop like Temi does. So you've got, what's your competition like? What are your costs like? Has food gone up? Has transportation gone up? Has rent gone up? Your overhead can run away with your profit. You can get people that grow for growth's sake. You could have, just to use Johnny's example, you could have 1,000,001 tradespeople running all over the place doing lots of stuff and lots of trade accounts outstanding, and it's a fine juggling match. But if jobs don't go according to plan, and if you've priced it very, very keenly and you hit a snag, then the profitability is gone from that job. Your reputation could be damaged. You need to take men off one thing to go back to another because you didn't finish it in time, not necessarily for your own faults. There's so many reasons that companies can go under.
Hope that answered your question there.
So basically what Steve's telling you is they run out of cash. It's one of the reasons they run out of cash.
Lack of working capital is a large problem for businesses.
So
I would say that, but this is why you have to keep an eye on your numbers, like all of us in this room. Businesses.
That's the interesting thing about an education. It's really, really interesting that at school they don't teach you these skills. When you start your business, okay, you know nothing about numbers, and then you go to your accountant and you trust your accountant, yeah, and then your accountant says to you, "You had a great year, that's fantastic." And you go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because your sales have grown by 10%. And you should just say to him, "Why did my sales grow by 10%? Because all your accountant does. And I know the accountants are going to crucify me for this, but they take the money coming into your bank account and they organize it into expense and categories, and they give you their input on it. Okay, but it's your business, your numbers, your responsibility. The better some of the most successful companies today aren't the ones doing the most profit. It's the one who understands the data. And I've told you before, Nokia had 50,000 data points, and an anthropologist from China comes to them and says, "I've had 150 case studies that tells me that smartphones are the next big thing." And Nokia said, 50,000 data points says otherwise. Okay, it's not about having data. It's about understanding the data you have and what conclusions you can draw from it. And that's why numbers do make sense. And especially in energy, whether you're a large manufacturing concern, energy is probably next to people one of your largest costs. You need to have control over that. And you need to have more transparency in areas like that. parting question for me, Steve, is why would the government not privatize power or own the power stations?
It would be interesting to know how they can actually go about that. I mean, the government are, to a small extent, or a larger extent, they are partially responsible for some of the issues that we face. Again, I'll try and quickly cover this. You have the government, whichever, and whether
that doesn't matter who's in power.
Exactly.
Just
Without
the
getting
government.
overly political, whoever's in charge at the time says we're going to hit carbon neutrality by 2035.
What does that mean, carbon neutrality?
The desire, the dream, is that we, as a country, we have been using more fossil fuels to generate electricity. In the winter, for example, we're now in winter, technically in energy terms, winter's 1st October to 31st March. So in winter, because there's less sunlight, 40% of the UK's electricity between now and the end of March will be generated by bringing in boatloads of liquid natural gas from Norway, and we burn that to make electricity. So not overly carbon friendly. So there's a desire to use less carbon rich fuels. But while the desire of any government makes that edict or decree, that's fine. But they've no say in that. They don't own the grid. The grid's privately owned by shareholders. They don't run the DNOs. They're not energy suppliers and with a title in their own rights, and they don't actually sell any energy. So it's all very well saying what they want to happen, but it's everybody else that's got to react to that and put it in place. And unfortunately, I mean, even just last week I read something saying that the grid have said that they're going to have to put in 5,200 and odd kilometres of additional cabling to cope with solar and wind getting into the grid and getting to where it needs to be. So again, they are a private company. If they've got all this expenditure, the only way they're going to do that is by doing exactly what's happening just now. Distribution and transportation costs are going up. So an energy bill, even a basic household energy bill, is split into two things. You've got your commodity cost, which is the exact amount of kilowatt hours of electric or gas that you've physically used, the energy, and then you've got your standing charge. A standing charge is a kind of sole standalone thing for domestic households, but in business, it can be 10 or 12 things, depending on what type of industry they're in. There's distribution, transportation, climate change levy, feed-in tariff, blah, blah, blah. And there's a nuclear tariff just about to come out. And again, distribution and transportation charges. The government have said recently, we need those to go down, which is ironic because they've gone up because of the decrees that the government's made about our journey. But they're now saying it to go down. So it's kind of like saying to solicitors, right, people need access to really good legal advice. You must lower your rates that you're charging out solicitors. Solicitors are far too expensive. Drop your rates. But we need more solicitors and you need to be better trained. But they're not paying for any of that infrastructure. They're just saying it. And again, ultimately, whatever they say, it's the businesses here that will suffer because they're the ones that are having to pay for the changes that are going to come in.
Oh.
And on that positive note,
I feel bring the bottle.
Thanks very much, Steve. Sorry, you got another question? Go.
Aye, so where do you think things are going to change? Because you've got a lot of solar activity just now. You've got the wind farms, the solar farms. Where do you think it might change in the next 10 years' time?
Will it ever change, though?
Well, that therein lies the question.
So just a question, because we're a fossil fuel economy. You look at the North Sea, you look at pipelines, all of those things. We're a fossil fuel driven economy. If we had to change to electric cars overnight, would the grid be able to cope?
No, not at all. And that's part of the problem. We're heading towards this looming timeline of when we're supposed to be done. I can't see it happening.
I'm going to be so at home here when you guys have to learn about load shedding and doing things like that. It's going to be fantastic. And people have to put solar panels in there because people are moving towards solar panels, doing different things.
There's a lot of work as well. And like Stornoway's going to be billions spent up there with wind farms. And they've got a line now from the island to the mainland to get the electric over that they're producing it. So I know, like, I've been up there just recently and the infrastructure that's getting put in place is massive. And they've dredged all the harbours, been done enough so that any ship can now come into that port to get everything over. So there's a lot going on up there. So how will that affect things?
The Lewis one's quite interesting. They've had troubles over the years. They actually lost an electric cable a number of years ago. There's a cable runs across the Minch to Lewis.
Right.
And for a while, they had issues with that. It was damaged by I think, fishing nets interfering with it, and they had to put in industrial-sized generators to run part of the island for a while, and it took forever to resolve. And it's the same situation we've got in Kent. We've got a connector site in Kent because the grid that owns the UK's grid also owns the French grid, and we've got a connector site in Kent, so we can send electricity over to France, or equally we can import electricity from France into the UK. And again, back to the other thing that nobody talks about in relation to energy, the grid has to be balanced. Yeah. As you rightly say, forget electric cars. If we all go home and agree at 7 o'clock tonight, everyone in the UK is going to stick on their tumble dryer, their dishwasher, and stick the kettle on, we've got a fundamental problem. We simply don't have enough. And while we can bang on about solar all we want, and it's great, I've no issue with solar in and of itself, but this isn't the sunniest climate in the world. And if, I deal with some industrial corporate size clients that run production lines day and night. And if you get a winter day that isn't particularly blowy and it's a little bit overcast, you can't be phoning factory saying, do you mind just putting 6 lines on today rather than 10? Because the weather's not very nice.
Yeah.
Well, you can. I come from a place where you can do that. But we'll talk about that now. But it's an interesting thing that you say that. I'm going to take you back to a story. For those of us who remember, there was a precursor soap opera called Dallas. And there was a bad brother, J.R. Ewing.
Just remember, I'm only 24.
I know. So this is what I'm telling you the story. So there was J.R. was about to get shot. Okay. And when J.R. went to get shot, there was an ad break and everybody went in the States to put on tea. It followed the grid. The grid followed because everybody was watching and it was so highly anticipated. That was 30, 40 years ago. Okay. By listening to it, doesn't seem like we've made any improvements or advances. What have we learned? It doesn't seem that anything we've learned. And I think that's the beauty about businesses. You constantly need to learn. Even if you're as big as Electricity de France, because I know that those are the guys that do that, but you constantly need to learn and evolve and grow. And if you don't, then eventually change will catch up to you and you will become irrelevant. That was a very positive statement there.
I'm just thinking you've done really well. It was like double barrel there. Negativity. But on a positive note, thank you very much for Steve. And
and everybody, all the guests.
And all the guests, yes. Thank you very much. For our listeners and viewers, actually, they won't see you as well. We've got a whole room full of everybody, all the businesses and Business Gateway and Economic Development. So thank you very much today, guys.
Perfect.
This is your world. Shape it.
Or someone else will.
From the Business Babble, we are really, really proud to be associated with the Fife Business Week, #Fife Means Business. It's about real stories and real successes.
A huge thank you to all the businesses, Fraser and Doc, for coming in. And I wish them all the best going forward with the businesses.
And we're very proud of the Business Babble to be helping and supporting these businesses. So #Fife Business Week. And a thank you to you all for tuning in, listening, subscribing, all that jazz.
#Fife Means Business.
Is that what it is?
No.
Did I say it right? I've had a problem with this all. Is that you?
That's me, I'm done.
Is that what you are? He's the tech guy and the clicker guy.
It's called a cameo.
Cameo appearance. So why didn't you start it then?
Well, I'm just going to tell you that we've got some very exciting news coming up next week.
But it's a secret.
Yes,
but it's a secret.
But it's only a secret if only one person knows. It doesn't involve the hospital. It doesn't involve 2 inches from me.
No.
No?
No, you're just a diet. Fine.
Just running nutrition. That's all it is.
On
But
that
guys, stay tuned.